Hello and welcome to today's episode of Tippcast. Myself, Shane Stapleton, deputising with Shane Brophy, not available this week. We have Sean Flynn starting out the show with us. We've Ryan O'Dwyer coming on in a short period of time. So I suppose we want to start off. There's been plenty of negativity about the Tipperary hurling team, Sean, in the last while. But let's start off with something positive, which was the Miners playing brilliantly last night. Great victory for James Woodlock and his team. Obviously, last season didn't go particularly well. But a great day for the team and the likes of Tom Delaney putting in a special performance.
Yeah, it's good to see, isn't it? And I suppose the way they're playing as well, to kind of give you a bit of hope too. I suppose everyone's saying this modern game of hurling, but they are using the ball well and they're working hard, and I suppose they're breaking out, coming out of the defence, breaking out, and even delivering the ball in and then coming in supporting again. So. No, it's a savage win, and sure the 20s tonight then as well. You'll be looking forward to that now as well and seeing how they get on, because that's a good Limerick team that they're playing, even minus Colorado. So no, things can kind of change and you can get a bit of hope. But actually, look, as we always say, we know the hurlers are there, getting it out of ourselves.
Yeah, there's a small bit of an interruption there. Hopefully people can hear everything you're saying there. But so I suppose Tom Delaney scoring 112. We don't want to put too much expectation on top of him, but a great performance it was nonetheless. Can you hear me okay there, Sean?
Yeah, perfect, yeah.
Yeah, okay, grand. Just it seemed to drop for me just a second. So you were talking about the Tipperary under-20s being in the Munster final tonight. It's obviously a huge occasion for Brendan Cummins and co. in his first season, and just even looking at how the season has gone so far, Limerick have beaten Clare, Cork and Waterford. Tip have beaten Kerry, Cork and Waterford. It's an exciting occasion up against a Limerick team, and I'll come to it in a minute, that have plenty of experience of winning both and being in finals both through the under-20, 21 and minor.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was actually, Darragh Egan was over the team when they were 16, and I was kind of involved a small bit with him, and it's amazing to see the turnover of players there like that. I think from the team when they're under 16, I think there's about 6 players left starting there tonight, and you see a lot of younger lads maybe coming in then, and a few fines, and obviously there's a good few of the boys probably on the panel and extended panel, but what I can see there's only 6 players from the starting 26 there tonight that from under 16. So I suppose that just shows you, what happens from under 16 to under 20. But if players like John Campion, they're he's a savage hurler now. You'll be looking forward to seeing what he can do. And I remember watching even a couple of years ago playing with Drum, at the senior team. He's an exciting player. And it's looking positive. Peter McGarry, and good to see Conor Cadell there as well after getting in. Conor was probably a bit small when he was under 16, but he savage hurling ability, and probably corner back then is an ideal place for him. A real tidy, corner back, real fast pace, and he'd be aggressive. But it's interesting to see him. And I remember even Kyle Shelley, we went down and played the actual competition. I think Kyle Shelley was the best player probably on show that day from all the counties. The lads lost the final in extra time to Wexford. A few dubious refereeing decisions, but it's great to see the lads coming through again, because at minor they might have suffered from a lot of lads playing football, and it's great to see the likes of Paddy Creedon, Kyle playing hurling all the way through this year, and you can see again they're in a Munster final now. Whereas I think maybe that was the issue for the management last time, that they weren't getting that access to the players probably like they are getting now. So it's good to see, you'll be looking forward now to tonight, because, as you said, that's a good Limerick team and has plenty of experience of winning minor and even playing in the under-20 final last year against Cork, which was a good Cork team,
Yeah, definitely a huge blow that Ed Connolly's going to be out for the year now after doing a cruciate, and even just for Lockmore as well, both him and John McGrath, who's undergoing an Achilles tendon operation today. What a blow!
Yeah, it probably opens up the county championship a small bit again, because like it's probably Killadang and Thurles, Lochmore, and I suppose the rest then are fighting for that fourth place. Like, so, it's going to be interesting, but it's tough. Like, and as tough in John McGrath too. Like, he just got in there, back in on the team, and like he probably needed a couple of games, but like you just love to see him back now and getting going again. It's probably going to be next year.
Yeah. I'm going to look through this Limerick team, and their manager Diarmuid Mullen said it's good to be back, and it's good consistency for this group between minor and under 20s. This is the fourth Munster final for some of them, like Adam English, and I suppose anyone who saw the semi-final they had with Waterford last week, they were in charge for an awful lot of the game. They won 27 points to 315, but realistically for Waterford, it was those 3 goals that kept them in the game really here. Like some of the forwards they have, Aidan O'Connor was brilliant. Shane O'Brien, people probably saw him for Ard School Rish last season, scoring, getting some great scores. Adam English, there's plenty of talent there. So, I mean, if even taking Cathal O'Neill out of that team, they are serious.
Yeah, and like I think that's the goal in Limerick. They just want these lads to experience the Munster finals and stuff like that, and All Ireland finals. That and look, they've a good tip man, a good Nina man there involved coaching, and Richie Flannery, and I know Richie, and like the work he does with him is savage, and he's after doing probably 3-4 years work with that group. Like, so you can see the way they play. Like they're well coached, and they're very organised, and I suppose they do play very similar to the way their senior team plays, which is, it's amazing really when you think that another team can kind of replicate what their senior team is doing, and that's probably what we're looking for probably in Tip. Like, well, we did it for years, we replicate, but that's the way things are changing now. You kind of Tip tonight, but in fairness, Cummins and his management team, they've done probably met them back in November, and like it's what, first week of May now, and they're in a Munster final, and he has them playing, and it just shows you, like, in the space of 5 or 6 months, what you can do with a team, and how he can change the way they play, and be interesting, like, and hopefully they get a good crack at it this year and even next year again, like, because that.
Yeah. Just breaking up a small bit there, Sean, from my end. I'm not sure if everyone else can hear you there, but Ryan O'Dwyer, delighted to have you on the show. How are things with you? You're not too bad. I suppose just a point that Sean was making there in terms of like talking about the under 21s and how quickly Brendan Cummins has kind of brought them along, and they're into a Munster final, and it seems to be adjusting to the modern style of hurling, working it through the lines and all that kind of stuff. You were involved with the down hurlers this year. You got to that, you were top of the table in Division 2A, got to the league final against Westmeath, didn't go your way. But like, how quickly can you, I suppose, make your mark on a team like the way Brendan Cummins is this year? I'm not sure how much you've seen him so far, but just that's sort of wider point.
I wasn't going to mention down, but the fact that you mentioned them, and in the context as well, we were lucky enough, or unlucky enough, depending on what way you want to look at it, we played the under 20s in a challenge there at the end of January. And now, in fairness, our lads were after having a hard weekend of it. We played Laois on the Friday, trained on the Saturday, and then played the under 20s on the Sunday. So our lads were in bits, but they made a show of us. They were running out of defence, but they were running with confidence, and it was great to see. I know your hurling traditionalists will say you get the ball, you hit it, but the game has evolved. You need to play with the times. You need to stay moving, otherwise you're going to get left behind. And Brendan, I know it goes against the Tip psychology of hurling, or the way hurling should be played in so many people's eyes, but he's changing with the times, and he's brought that in. And I suppose he's blessed in one way to start it with under 20s, because, and especially when Brendan Cummins is walking into the dressing room, because every one of those under 20s, they would have been grown up picking up a hurley for the first time when Brendan was in his prime. Now, Brendan kind of went from his prime for about 15 years. So, but they were all picking up the hurleys then, and they were all looking up to Brendan. So then having him coming into the dressing room and saying, this is the way I want you to play, they're all like, you're breaking down barriers straight away, because they're all going to buy into that no matter what. But there, look, I suppose it's a high risk game. It's going to break down sometimes, but I suppose the thing is, you have to say, right, playing this way, it's going to cost us 2 or 3 points in a game, but it's also going to create 15 points for us. So there's negatives and positives with it. And a lot of people focus on those 3 points that you conceded, but they don't focus on the 15 points that style hurling has created for you. But like the one thing I've noticed about looking at the 20s this year and experiencing them with down, that they're all fit, they're all well able to hurl, but they've all bought into it. There's no ego. Well, no, this is from the outside looking in. There doesn't seem to be any egos there saying, "Oh, we shouldn't do it this way. We shouldn't do it that way." They're all buying in. And I'm lucky enough. There's 2 club mates of mine hurling with them, and they're both phenomenal lads. And especially Conor Royer, there's a bit of a cut in him as well. There's a bit of a tug in him as well. So I like that.
So I suppose back to you then, Sean. Do you think Tipperary can get across the line this weekend? It can be hard to judge with under 20s.
Yeah, you just don't know. Like, and I suppose the only worry you have is when you do change with a team is you're going to come up against a game where maybe, like, if you're working the ball out, if the middle third is packed, well, then you have to kind of adjust, because look, you kind of see. Remember, Waterford played Clare last year, and they had a way of playing, working the ball out, and Clare packed that middle, and they just had no answer. So, but I do think they're well equipped, because Paddy Creedon and Kyle Shelley are 2 good men where you can put the ball in any way to them. You can put the ball in space and they'll run onto it. You can put the ball down on top of them and they can win it. So that's the only one thing you'd worry that when you're starting something there, it will come up against a challenge, and how you deal with that challenge on the day is the issue. Like, you know,
I'd agree 100% with you to a certain extent, right? And I think probably Wexford, and I know I'm probably hanging Davy Fitz out to dry here, but like sometimes it depends on the manager and how they want to get it across. You felt with Wexford over the last couple of years that their game plan was so rigid, and you couldn't go away from that game plan no matter what, that it was easier to break down. But my philosophy, and I'm sure Brendan is the same, right? This is our structure, but in a heated battle in championship hurling, you still play what's in front of you. And if the best ball is to deliver an 80-yard ball or try to deliver an 80-yard ball, well, then you do that. You're going to make mistakes, but you try to take the right option and read what's in front of you. So, yeah, I think Brendan is doing that from what I've seen so far. Their structure is to work the ball out possession, not give up cheap balls. But then, like, I've seen him deliver the ball from 90 yards out and deliver like inside their own 21. I've seen him deliver 70, 80-yard passes as well. So I think it's finding that right balance, and I think Brendan and Fintan O'Connor and Shane Stapleton and whoever else is involved there, I think they've found that kind of middle ground, I suppose, what you want to say. Whereas, yeah, this is what we want to play, but play what's in front of you all the same.
Yeah, do you want to take that point up, Sean?
No, I agree. Like, and you do see that with teams now, and even club teams. You're kind of, they are like, even Cork. Like, they're just kind of, as you say, Ryan, they're getting married to that one way of doing things. Like, and you know yourselves, like, just a quick ball in is as effective then. But that's why I'd love to see tonight, because Limerick do pack that middle. So it's, but like Tip do have some good hurlers there, like Corker and Conor Cadell, like, they're excellent stickmen as well, like, so and they are intelligent hurlers, so you trust them to read what's going on.
And it can be really frustrating from playing the full forward line. If, like, what you want in the full forward line, you want quick ball in, with your corner full, you just want quick ball in. When there's overpassing around the middle, and you're after making a run over to that corner, then you say, oh, fuck, and you have to make a run back, and then go back again and go back, and you're like, just hit the ball in, But I don't think Tip are falling into that, where they're trying to give an extra pass, and, oh shit, I have to give another pass. No, I have to give another pass. They seem to be getting it up to a platform, which is 65 or midfield. They're getting it up to that, and then they're letting the ball in. If not every time, but sometimes they give another pass to a man maybe 50 yards out that can score a point from there or whatever. But they're not overplaying it, which I think teams, like, when you think of running games straight away, you think of Cork in the 2000s You think of a little bit of Waterford under Derek McGrath was overpassing and packing the defence. You think of any team that Davy Fitz is over, just run it, and overpass it. But I think Davy especially, I think it's just just a burden on the players, and they're not showing how good hurlers they are and what got them to senior intercounty level, or tonight's case under 20 intercounty level. They have to remember what got them there, and what got them there is open hurling, and they can well do that, but they're also mixing in the possession game with that.
Yeah, a thing I like about this team is the aggression, and like John Campion, I think, kind of sums that up as well as anyone, Sean.
But, I think Conor O'Dwyer sums up aggression. Yeah. I've seen him last year. Jesus, he's like, it's exceptional looking at him.
But like, I suppose an aggression comes in different ways. Like you're talking about carrying the ball, but like lads on this team, Sean, seem to like to turn and go at their man. I think Ed Connolly is actually a big loss, because not only is he good at running at teams, like the amount of puckouts that went on top of him, he didn't necessarily catch them all, but he was always under them, contesting them and making sure no one else caught them. So I think he'll be a big loss. But I like how Peter McGarry goes at his man, how Paddy Creedon can go at his man. That's the aggression I like about this team, as well as the tackle rate.
Yeah, and sure, even like you listen to him and O'Shea or any of these lads over teams, they're always on about forwards dropping the shoulder, and taking a man on. So like, it's good to see, and yeah, he's a loss. And I think Josh Keller is in there tonight, wing forward, is he? Yeah. So like, look, he's there to do one job, and that's break ball, and the rest of the boys come in around him, But like, it's going to be interesting to see then Jack Leamy, will he stay in there, or what will they do, or who are they just going to play the flat three, or what are they going to do inside the full forward line? Because I just watching Limerick, they do see to drop someone deep at times in front of their full back line. So it'll be interesting to see how they do and how Tip counteract that.
Well, I can see Hurley, I can see Jack coming out, not to the half forward line, but nearly as a false centre forward, where he's sitting behind the centre back and in front of the full forward. But what I liked about Tip in their last game is they punished mistakes. You saw there was a bad clearance from goalkeeper at one stage, and it was picked up over the bar straight away. And they did that was one incident of many incidents. So they really do punish the team.
Paul Tierney says it really is great to see former players in Woodlock and Cummins do so well. The under-20 side can deliver. Armstrong Shannon in defence, class led by a brilliant captain in Campion. So I suppose one word, are Tip going to get it done tonight? I'll start off with you, Sean.
I'd say that hopefully I'd say it's going to be tight. Like that is a good Limerick team now. They are missing a few players with injury as well, so that probably closed the gap. But geez, it'd be great to see Tip get over the line. So hopefully, I think they might. Yeah, I think they might. I think there's a bit of wave behind that team.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have it all their own way, but I do think they're going to win by. I think it's going to be a nervous last 5 minutes, squeaky bum time. But I do think they're going to pull through. I think Eddie Connolly's a massive loss. Although what he did, a bit of a brain fart the last time when he was fouled and then threw the ball. Flick the ball at your man. He was lucky to stay on the field. But look, apart from that, I think it's going to be a cracking game. I do think it's going to come down to the last 2-3 minutes. But I do think Tip are going to win by 2, possibly 3 points.
Okay. Now the seniors obviously back out in action this weekend against Limerick, and Jason Ford and James Quigley are out injured for this game. The Tip GAA just confirmed that John McGrath is getting surgery for a ruptured Achilles tendon. I suppose I haven't talked to you in a while, Ryan, about the Tipperary season so far. 2 defeats from 2, good performance against Waterford, relatively speaking, and not so good against Clare. How would you sum up the 2 games so far?
Well, I didn't see the Clare game live. Now I have seen it since then, but I didn't see it live. And I suppose when I was sitting down to watch it, because we were playing the same time. So when I was sitting down to watch it, eventually I knew what had happened. And in one way, you nearly have your mind made up. But looking at it, the first half was totally heartbreaking and it was gut-wrenching. But they did fight back a little bit in the second half. The thing we do have to look at here is, Colin Bonner, he has a tough job ahead of him. And the reason I'm saying that is because the lads that were being relied on for years, well, they're coming to the end of their career now. A lot of them have taken a step away, whether it's Brendan or Paddy or whoever else. They're after taking a step away. The old guard there now, and they might not want to hear this, but they are after slowing down that little bit, and they're not the same players that they were 5-6 years ago, even 2-3 years ago. But I do think there is a good group coming along behind after that. Like you remember, it's not that long ago when we were the last team. Well, when Tip were the last team to win under 21 All Ireland, and then the following year the first team to win under 20 All Ireland. Like, those players haven't disappeared; they're still there, and you do see some of them coming in now. Like, the two lads that stand out for me straight away is James Quigley and Craig Morgan. Like, they have I may as well tell you, before the league this year, I heard of them, but I was like, they're only young lads coming on. But they've really taken that extra step to the level. But there's other lads there. Like, I'm delighted to see Dylan Quirk getting a shot now this year. Even Jake Morris getting an extended run, Mark Keogh getting an extended run. Because, look, there might be a year or two of bad results, but I think it's about staying with them. And if Colin can get the nucleus of a team together, and then next year having under the present under 20s coming in, the following year more coming in, I do think, look, it's not going to be like the flick of the switch, but I do think within 3 years, and hopefully sooner, I do think Tip will be contesting All Ireland finals again.
Yeah, Sean, you did a piece there with the 42 about, long puckouts. You previously did one about sharp puckouts and making sure you secure possession at the other end of the field, and Limerick do that so well. Have you gotten much feedback on that? Because obviously Tipperary's long puckouts against Clare resulted in 2 banner goals in the first half.
Yeah, it's kind of people, when you're going around playing club matches and stuff like that, people be saying it, but I think my attitude is, like, I suppose we're all looking for ball winners and stuff like that, but like, you don't need ball winners on your long puck out. You just need, a lot of it's down to breaking ball, and it's about organisation really on your long puck out. And right, you can have your fancy puck outs where, there's lots of movement going on, but like, I think the basic one is really just about getting an equal amount of bodies to the breaking ball, and that seems to be an issue for Tipperary at the moment. And it's been an issue for the last few years. It's not Colin Bonner, it's not Liam Sheedy, it's not whoever has gone Micheál Ryan. It has been an issue, and I think, and you see it there, we're like Shane O'Donnell getting a +1 was nearly like a +1 on our long puck out, because all they do is break the ground, win it, and it's flicked out to him. And the wing backs are under pressure then, the wing backs are getting pulled and dragged, they don't know where to go or stay. So, I don't know, it's just, it's things like that. I remember we were talking there before championship, and it was just like tightening up on those things from the league, and we haven't seemed to have done that, because the league was the same regards concession of scores off our own puck out. So that's down to a bit of organisation. And look, I know a game gets chaotic and it's very hard to pull it back. If it happens 10-15 minutes before half time, it's very hard to rein it in. And especially with your Murphy now gone, I don't know how you find Ryan with down. But it's just, if you have that ripped to death, you can just go, right, let's go back to what we know. And it doesn't have to be, something, a poke out run that you put on a tactics board. It's literally one up, one behind the break, one to the front, allowing just a bit of structure, just getting a 3v3 or a 4v4 where the ball is landing. That's really.
Can I? I'm just going to interrupt there. That article you wrote was absolutely brilliant, by the way. And I actually I forwarded it on to loads of people, and you actually helped me back a point up that I was trying to make with someone else. So thanks for that. But yeah, look, I agree 100% with you. Right? I suppose, look, it goes to rigid game plans and everything. Too many teams are going, right, we have to go sharp puck out. Then other teams, right, everything has to be long. I think it's a mixture of both that keeps the opposition guessing, but also gets the best out of you as well. Because in one way, even though it's your puck out, you're guessing as well. if you, and I don't know the stats on this, maybe you might, but like how many clean puckouts are ever won in a game? Like 70 minutes, 74, 5 minutes of hurling. There's only going to be at most 4, possibly 5 clean puckouts won. We'll say long puckouts won from going up for it. The rest of the time it's going to be a breaking ball. So what you want, if you're going with a long puckout, you want scavengers there that are basically that are picking up scraps that will fight for that ball when it drops. Do Tip have them at the moment? I don't know. You know more about this now than me, but do Tip have enough of them at the moment? Right. Well, first of all, you need to ensure that if you're going long, that the half back doesn't win it. It's grand saying, oh, we have scavengers there and pick up the breaking ball, but if every ball is being won in the half back line clean from the opposition, well then there's something going wrong there. So you need to break it and train that into them as well. And then the scavengers after that. So yeah, look, do Tip have those players?
Yeah, like I suppose I'd like to see Dan back up in the half-forward line. I just think that's his game. Like that's one player that you can guarantee. Look, you'll be able to go toe to toe with a Diarmaid Byrnes or a Dan Morrissey in the air, and at least stop them, as you say, from catching it and just bring it to ground. And I suppose then it's up to whatever's coming after that. I suppose like that's probably the issue, like on the break. But I know what you're saying about the scavengers, and I agree. But I still think we can put in a bit of a structure that, maybe makes it easier for the lads to get onto the break.
Oh yeah, no, I hope you didn't pick me up wrong there. There's a structure there that you try to give your team, just even if it's that 1% advantage of I'm going to move this way or I'm going to move that way, or I'm going to isolate a man or whatever. But I'm on about when the ball actually breaks to the ground. Yes. And that's when the scavengers come in.
Yeah, you're right. I suppose Bonner was very natural at that when he was playing in the half-hour.
Yeah.
You're probably losing that now. Yeah, and then you've maybe likes of a Bubbles who just out pure intelligence might get onto it. Do you know?
Yeah.
We're probably
you were saying about putting Dan McCormick up there. In one way, yeah, I agree 100% with you because he's physical, he's strong, he's able to win a high ball, but he's good enough hurler to pick up that breaking ball as well. But in one way, it's nearly robbing Peter to pay Paul. Who do you slot into midfield?
Again, that's the thing. Like, so it's like, geez, I wouldn't like to be picking teams now and setting them up against Limerick this weekend, to be honest.
Yeah, but isn't this part of the problem? Like, there seems to be a real case of putting square pegs into round holes, and I mean, some of it is just by, I suppose, do you have the players who fit into those positions? Other situations, I would have wondered, are lads being picked in the right positions? But there's a comment in here from Kieran32. As a Limerick man, I'm expecting a big performance from Tip. There has to be. Tip always had pride in that jersey, plus to have the hurling. But if you look at the results going back to 2018, Limerick 123, Tip 214. Then Tipperary won that dead rubber round robin game. I don't think anyone really counts that. Then Limerick 226, Tip 214. Limerick 323, Tip 217 in 2020. And last year, Limerick 229, Tip 321. Obviously, that's going from 10 points up to 6 points down. Like, Limerick really have had a stranglehold over Tip the last couple of years, Ryan. There's no way around it. Like, that dead rubber doesn't count.
They're saying it doesn't count because it's not bad.
It doesn't count, come on.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I suppose it shows where both counties are in their development, and Limerick are much further along the line. But that didn't happen overnight. Like, I remember playing against that Limerick team with Dublin, in 2015, 16, and Dublin were beating them. No disrespect to Dublin, but I can't see them beating them now. Because that didn't that started with minor, then into under 20. I remember that the chunk of that senior team now, Kyle Hayes' team, them at minor, they were big for minors, but like them compared to what they are now, there's a lot of work away from the hurling pitch after being done with them to get them to where they are now. Look, I don't know. I'm not in the position. I'm not in his position, or I'm not aware of what the plan in Limerick is. But the way it does appear from the outside is that John Kiley, he brings a person in that he has no intention of them playing championship hurling this year, but gives them everything to get them ready for the following year. Like he conditions them, he gets them up to a certain fitness, a certain body conditioning, and then a certain hurling level and playing a certain way, so they're available for next year. Like I saw Brian O'Grady now. I think he's getting an operation this week on his knee, but I saw him for UL, and him compared to 2 years ago, they were different people, because he was just after developing so much in his hurling, his pace, his body size. He's a weapon now. But like 2 years ago, if you'd have said, is he going to make it a senior in the county, you'd been like, no, he's not big enough, he doesn't have the hurling. But he certainly does now. And if he was born a few miles over the border in Tip, he'd be starting. So I do think a lot of this is done in the development squads, the minor setups. Like Limerick, they're not all about winning minor All-Irelands or under 20 All-Irelands. They're about getting that 3 or 4 or 5 players through to senior level.
We cannot look at some of the absences that Tipperary had this year have accrued during the season. So obviously Seamus Callan is out, John O'Dwyer isn't available for the year because of his knee. Conor Bowe broke his finger the first day out. James Quigley and Jason Ford aren't available. John McGrath's out for the year. We know Brian O'Mara is away for the summer. Obviously, he hasn't featured in Championship just yet, but looked like you talk about Brian O'Grady filling out and mature, and he looks like he's fully ready. Niall O'Mara is away for the summer. Kieran Connolly's another guy I suppose we thought would be coming to the boil now, and then Paddy and Brendan have had to retire. So people talk about Cian Lynch, being out for Munster, that Kyle Hayes didn't feature the last day, that Seamus Flanagan wasn't available, and Peter Casey, Sean. Like, it has been the year from hell for Colin Bonner when it comes to injuries and obviously results too.
Yeah, and sure, look, like, what's he supposed to do? Like, he has to give lads their, their games, like, as in young lads. He has to just throw them in, like, and we have to probably, accept that they're going to make mistakes and things are going to happen. But, like, I suppose probably where we're suffering from is probably easier to come into a Limerick-style team where there's a set way of playing, and probably each player in their position knows what's expected of him. Colin Bonner's in his first year. Whatever ideas they're trying to get across, the lad who's 29, 30 years of age is learning new things the same as the lad who's 19 or 20. So it's not like, that sort of way in certain areas. So it is tough on him, like, and, I suppose if you had everybody available to him and we're still getting these results, right, people will stick the knife in. But, like, geez, you kind of have to accept that we are down, like, we're down players who have retired with injuries. It's going to take time. Lads like Mark Keogh is only really playing his first proper year of starting for the senior inter-county team, like, and he's nearly leading the line at this stage. That sort of way. It's a huge change, like, and like, I just found, I thought Nolly kept lads in the game against Waterford a lot. Like, I know it's a team game, like, but I thought what he was giving the team through his movement and just linking up the play and everything, I just thought he was keeping the whole thing on the road. And then the last day against, I suppose, Clare, he wasn't in the game as much, so the rest of the boys kind of weren't as in the game then. But, like, it's a tough one, like, because you have to balance the way we're watching other teams play and then comparing it then to what we're doing. But then, look at Kilkenny and Galway playing last Sunday, and it was like reeling in the ear sort of thing. Like, it was just go out there and hurl kind of sort of thing. And all right, there was a bit of trying to use the ball, but maybe we just need to, we're in between, aren't we? Like, Ryan, I don't know, and Shane, we're just
look, there's a lot of transition going on now. I knew Tip were down a lot of players, but Shane, that image you put up there it doesn't fill you with confidence. It is fairly bleak. I knew we were down players between injuries and retirements, but when you put it up like that, it's like, oh Jesus. Look, Colm, I really like Colm. He's a great man. I do think if he's given the opportunity, I do think he can achieve great things with Tip. Because the structures will be put in place by Colm, and I know the county board are great. They're facilitating county board. But I do think the one thing that could turn things sour, and I hate saying I could get decapitated here, is the tip public. The tip public, they're very demanding. They have high standards, and rightfully so, come from such a strong hurling county that do have high standards. But they have to realise that, right, there is a transition here. We need to get behind the team, because a lot of negativity out there, like especially a young lad coming onto the panel. Like, it's grand. Me now, I'm older. I can only speak from when I started off hurling with Tip under Babs. The negativity that was around Tip hurling at that time, and you're a young lad, and it's easy now. You're able to block it out. You're able to just, as the New England Patriots say, you block out the noise. You can't do that as a young lad. You listen to everything that people have to say, and I would hope that the negativity there, and there will be negativity because bad results or poor performances or whatever. I would hope that the younger lads don't listen to all that, or if you do listen to it, just use it as your motivation when you're going training and going playing matches, because I do think the public just needs to get behind this team and say, yeah, bad result, but do you know what? It was a good performance, or there was a good 40 minutes there. We just failed in the end, or whatever. But I do think it's a critical time at the moment. I think the next year or two could ruin some lads' confidence, but it will bring on lads as well. But I do think what's coming there behind, and if Colin is given the right support, I do think within 2-3 years, Tip will be competing again.
So part of the reason that I put up the list of players that are injured and absent and retired is because I want to just frame it in that context that it's obviously not all management. But like, Ryan, do you see enough in terms of, like, we talked about the puck out, and that seems a pretty basic thing to get right, to some degree anyway, and not be quite as bad as we're on it. And also just in general, like, style of play. What's Tipperary's style of play? Do you look at it now and think, oh, I see what they're doing? At this stage, I think there should be some hint of that.
Yeah, well, I suppose you asked a few questions there. As regards puckouts, right? Brian Hogan, right? He should be up in the Cooley Mountains every year for the long puck competition. He's a phenomenal puck, and he's nearly relying on, I'm going to go for distance each time instead of go short, maybe 3 in a row, go short, or you look at what's in front of you, and just to vary it a little bit more. I've no issue with him going long, but just to vary it a little bit more and read what's in front of you. But it's not a case of, no, look, it's easy for us talking on the outside. We're not looking at the training or what's going on there. But that's not, that going short puck outs and everything, that's not something that you just switch on. That has to be practiced, because if you give a short puck out to the fullback or to the cornerback, and then they just turn and lump it down the field, well, that's basically the goalkeeper hitting it down the field. Do you know? I think every short puck out should be kept in hand and worked out. But that's like I said, you're not going to switch that on. That has to be worked on at training. You have to ask, is that being worked on at training? Another thing you asked, what else did you ask there? You asked a load there.
Just do you know what style of play Tipperary are trying to do?
Oh, sorry, the style of play. There's no distinct style of play at the moment, and I hate saying that. Look, traditionally, Tip are they're traditions. You get it, you lump it. But I saw, was it last year, the year before? Actually, sorry, it's last year, Tip against Waterford. That didn't do them any favours. And no, it was a cracking game. But I think it was 4 or 5 balls in a row. Paddy Maher and Ronan Maher hit down, and it was just swept up by the Waterford players and worked back down the pitch, and then a score conceded. So is there a style of play now at the moment? No, there's not. And I think every team should be known for something. Like, if you're going playing a team, whether it's club or county, you should have something in your head saying, right, I'm going playing these. Oh, I'm going playing these. They hit so hard when they're tackling. Oh, I hate that. So it's in your head straight away. Or, all right, they're so slick in moving the ball. They work it out. We need to push up on them straight away. If you're going playing against Tip right now, what is the opposition saying? Are they going saying anything like that? Well, like what is Tip's brand? What are they unique for? And you have to say nothing at the moment. Is that Colin finding his feet with this group of players and seeing who he has? Because like the worst thing I think you should do is go into a group of players, whether it's an intercounty team or a club team, and say, right, this is the way I want us to play. You look at what you have at your disposal, you look at the players you have, and then you tailor a game plan to them. Is Colin in the process of doing that? Because even during the league and then into the championship, there wasn't much time to work on that. Like it was literally league, like week after week, league games. There was no 2-week break where we can focus on this in training and really get this right in training. At a time of the year when you're still working on fitness, you're still in the gym doing strength and condition. There's so much going on early in the year that can you refine your game plan? No, I won't say you can't, but you can't refine it to a team that's already on the path 2 or 3 years and has the same management 2 or 3 years. So I think give it time, Colin can get something going.
Yeah, and Paul Tierney says Ger Brown in midfield is so impressive and coming on as a sub the last day. Grode O'Connor chance coming surely. Don't take this the wrong way, says Kieran 32, but there was a small level of arrogance from the likes of Tip and Cork and maybe Kilkenny, thinking their hurling was enough and not planning ahead for the long term. Sean, what do you want to see in this game against Limerick this weekend?
I just go out and, to be honest, like for the time they had in between the Clare game, I think it's just get together, go out and hurl and run yourself into the ground. I mean, I just don't think, I seen read it a few places, like 2 weeks, you try and prep something in 2 or 3 training sessions after 10, 15 minutes when things get hot in a game, you're just going to forget about it. You can't rely on it. So, and like the other side of things, like you kind of have to accept that no matter if we had all those players, there's a chance most teams lose to Limerick at the moment. And like that's my issue with Cork. Like the arse fell out with Cork. They were after 40 minutes to win toe-to-toe with Limerick. And right, some terrible defensive mistakes, whatever. But like they went toe-to-toe with Cork for 40 minutes. Not many teams do that. Tip did it for 40 minutes just about last year. And the whole Cork thing, like their confidence was shot and everything like that. And you can question their characters and all that, but like, and it ruins Cork season. So for me, like, you go to the match, all I want to see Tip is just empty the tank and just go for it. Whether it's playing long balls, whatever. I think if we try and overcomplicate it against Limerick, they're too long on the road. They'll set traps for cornerbacks and they'll be on top of them straight away. Things like that. They'll suck the life out of the crowd. They'll suck the life out of the team. I just think we just need to go direct, try and get the ball in as quick as possible for the forward line, see how it goes. I'd rate the management team and the reaction to a Clare game based on what we do against Cork, really, because you have to be honest, most teams do get turned over by Limerick. So how can you? I know you want to test yourself against the best and the All-Ireland champions, but like with those injuries and what we've done, we're probably just not there yet to even be measuring ourselves off them. Like, you know, that's been negative, I suppose, in a way, but
no, it's been realistic as well. Like,
Are we saying we'd take a 10-point defeat if we were offered it, Ryan?
No.
Is that how bad it is?
No. Look, you would like. Look, you're looking for a moral victory this weekend against Limerick. I don't think that even the hardest or the strongest Tip supporter and the harshest one, as in most critical Tip supporter, they're not expecting a Tip win. But we can't let the players go in with that attitude. And Colin won't let the players go in with that attitude. But as a Tip public, you can't feed that to the players, and the players can't go in with that attitude of, oh look, we'll just try keep the score down, because straight away the drive and I suppose a lot of the reason for them to do everything they can is to do everything for the cause. It's gone out the window, and they're just trying to make up the numbers. Then they need to go into that game believing that they can win and go flat out for it. That's simple as. But look, I think we have to be realistic. If you're a betting man, you are going to put your money on Limerick. I would hope that all I hope for this weekend is that Tip give a good performance, and that going forward, Colin can say, well, look, if I'm picking a 15, well, here's 7 or 8 lads that are definites on that. Lads' name and putting your name on that team sheet.
Yeah. Any final thoughts, Sean, before I let you go? I know you have to go back to class.
Yeah. I just look, as Ryan said, like it's very easy shout from the sidelines and you don't know what you're seeing in training. But there is for me, there's a few glaring things around lads playing positions. Like I think Barry Heffernan is a savage player to have in the full back line. He's one of these players who can take a ball, bring it out. He can go to war with the lad. You saw him doing it against John Conlon against Clare in 2019. I don't know. It just feels like there's a bit of zip gone out of us, and you kind of know that when you look at some of the forwards. There just isn't that kind of, we always, and whatever Tip player played, there was always a bit of a zip about where we moved the ball, passing the ball, interchange play between 30, 40 yard stick passes that were just going to hand and we take off. And we've kind of lost a bit of that. And maybe we've kind of lost a bit of that trying to do the, working the ball off the shoulder and things like that. And I just think we are a bit in between. And you could even see it the last day against Waterford. A few times we'd have the ball inside our own 45. And I think Ronan Maher gave a hand pass to a player who was static. And there was no need to give the pass. So we're just kind of in between that sort of thing. So I really against Limerick, I just want to see maybe go back to our own traditional values for the next game and just get the ball in and just empty the tank. I think that's all we can see. And hopefully we get a win tonight and people go and watch the match and support the boys. And look, it goes and swings roundabouts. 4 or 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, we were knocked out of the championship after the group stages, and we came back the next year and we won every group game. So it can swing, it can turn very quick in hurling. A couple of weeks ago we thought we'd nothing coming through minor and 20, and and senior was in trouble, and now we're into a Munster final. So it can happen quick. So try and keep the faith anyway.
Okay. Well, thanks very much for joining the show.
These Kilkenny boys, he'll lynch me if I don't go back into class.
Mind yourself. We'll chat to you again, Sean. All the best.
Okay,
so that was Sean Flynn there. So a couple of other things, Ryan. When I was watching back that game against Clare, and even against Waterford at times, and you've played in the forward line, half forward and inside line, but a lot of the time the ball was being delivered up the field. It was being delivered basically to the sideline or almost to the corner flag. So when Aaron Gallan gets the ball, he gets it around the D. He collects a ball that maybe bounces once in front and turns over the bar. The Tipperary forward seems to be getting the ball out more or less at the corner flag, and then the work began. So I mean that's another thing that it feels like almost every area has to be worked on.
Yeah, look, there's no doubt about that. And a manager just taking over a team, they need to nearly start from scratch again, because the players have been playing such a way for so long that it's a new regime taking over. I do think the war. Look, there was a time and a place for it, but I do think the ball being delivered out to the corner into the space, hit the space, not the faces. It's grand, but you have to remember that if you're in the full forward line, just say you're playing full forward, you have to run out to the corner. So you maybe a 30-yard sprint, you have to get the ball, then you have to turn a man and beat him and run back the 30 yards. Do you know? So you're basically doing 100-meter sprints just to get the ball and get a score. But look, you mentioned Gallan there and Limerick. They move across, they don't play 3 inside, they play 2 inside. A lot of times, possibly 1 inside. It works across the line. But if he sees the ball, and I've seen it, and I've kind of done a bit of analysis on it, that if they're working the ball out, you see him, he walks out. You can't see here. I'll put up my phone and we can use that. If they're playing up this way and they get to a certain place, he'll walk out, not to the sideline, but he'll walk out to the corner away from the goal And then as soon as they get up to a certain distance to deliver the ball in, that's when he makes a bust back across the D towards the penalty spot, we'll say. So a lot of the ball is being delivered in there. Or if you're looking at a goal between we'll say a normal club pitch, the two poles for the nets behind the goal, they're delivered into that space. So, but he goes out, walks out to come back in, rather than standing inside and then sprinting the whole way out and then having to come back in. If I knew I was doing analysis here, I could have had a whiteboard ready for. But yeah, like he does that. Like you'd have to wonder, playing against Limerick now, and a lot of teams are playing it. The half forward line pulls out, nearly playing as a midfield. You'd nearly wonder, right, will I have my centre back just sitting in front of the full back line, whether there's two or three or one inside there, go man for man in there, but just have one man out sitting in front of them. Because it's what every forward wants is space, and if you don't cut down that space, well then it's a dream. It's like Kilmacud Sevens hurling, and yeah. So look, I think as regards Tip moving forward, I think more analysis needs to be done about what way do we want to play, what do we want to be known for, and what structures are we going to lay down into the future.
Yeah. And then matchups are something that are big this weekend. Like, who goes on to Aaron Gillan? Do we bring Barry Heflin back to physically match up with Garrod Hegarty? Seamus Kennedy was brilliant on Tony Kelly the last day out. Does he get a man marking role maybe on Tom Morrissey? Is there any one in particular that stands out for you? And also, like, is it time to put Ronan Maher full back? And I know obviously he had a tough time against Gillan a couple of years ago in the winter of 2020 championship. The ball was caught over him. But like, he is probably the most aerially dominant player that Tipperary have, and you can't have the square compromise with high long ball.
To be honest, now look, I'm not picking a team. I'd actually have Cathal Barrett, man marking Gillan, because he's
for high ball though.
Well, high ball, but he's not going to win a high ball clear, but he'll be all over him. Like, he's like a spider monkey. He's just absolutely mauling you. Like, I'm surprised he doesn't get reported to the guards for assault during a game, because he's all over you. And that's what got him to where he is. And look, I'd want him on my team rather than playing against him, because he's all handsy, he's all over you, he's real, he fights for every ball. That's why I'd have Martin Gillan. As regards the physical encounters, look, all the Limerick players are physical encounters. You look at their two wing forwards, right? You're going to have Hegarty and you're going to have Morrissey. Well, more than likely Hegarty and Morrissey. You look the last day against Clare, Dylan Quirk was one of the wing backs. Is he going to match up with him? Like, give it 2 or 3 years. Yeah, I'll have no doubt he'd be able to match up with them physically, but would he be able to match up with them now? Seamus Kennedy, I think he'd be able to match up with them, but I think the matchups are going to be interesting. They're going to be more interesting on the Tip defence rather than the Limerick defence, because I think the Tip forwards, I think the Limerick backs can match them regardless of which one they're on, and that's not a poor sign on Tip. Now, that's just more a sign of Limerick are more complete defenders than just one player standing out. But yeah, the matchups are going to be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if Jar Brown starts. I'd love to see him start. Look, he had a bad first outing against Waterford. He came on. He got one out in the corner. He went to pick up one in the corner, missed it, ran over it. Then the next one he got out near the corner as well, went to turn onto his left. As soon as he turned onto his left, I said, this is definite point, because he's brilliant off his left. But then he really righted a few wrongs there the last day, then coming on, and one of his first touches of the ball, he scored a goal from midfield, running from midfield. So you have to wonder, where's the best place to play him? Would you start him midfield? Because he's able to run from deep and take on players, or would you start him possibly in the full forward line because he can turn and take on a man and be a danger that way?
So I think we're probably both thinking Limerick we'll get the nod for this weekend. But look, we'll keep the fingers crossed. Maybe they'll take the eye off the ball. Maybe Tip will shock us and have a performance like the Waterford game. Hopefully, I don't know if he's in contention, but you'd hope that Conor Bowe's finger will heal quickly and maybe he'd be back. But look, I wouldn't be holding out any hope just yet because
I think he should target the Cork game. Now, look, it's easy for us to talk. We don't know what's going on in the camp, but is this game just maybe a week too early for him? But look, you want to look. No disrespect, but they're not going to qualify for a Munster final, so you kind of want to salvage something out of the year. What better way to salvage something out of the year than beat Cork? It's what every Tip person wants. So yeah, I think that should be the main target. But getting through this weekend against Limerick, learn something from it, because every match, whether you win or lose, you have to learn something from. So it's about getting through that and then bringing that through to the Cork game with a bit of confidence.
Yeah, Kieran 32 adds, lads, I think he could be in for a surprise on Sunday. I think there's a huge performance in Tip. Limerick will probably be too good, but there won't be a huge amount in it. Well, look, from a Tip point of view, we'll have the fingers crossed for that. Ryan, how did you get involved in the Down hurling team? Obviously, you're still based in Dublin. You're hurling you're back with Cashel King Cormacs. How have you ended up working with Down hurling?
Lucky or unlucky, depending on what way you look at it. Ronan, the manager.
Ronan Sheehan.
Ronan Sheehan contacted me there last year, actually. Just at the start of the year, after Laker Gale. So he must have seen that and said, I'll get him involved. So he got in contact with me, said, would I like to get involved? I said, look, it'll be a learning experience anyway. And so I did 4 sessions with them last year, 4 or 5 sessions with them last year. But I saw enough in those 4 or 5 sessions to say that, you know what, there's something with this group. They can go places. So at the start of this year, I got involved again with them, but I was more involved this year. I haven't missed a session. And yeah, look, they're brilliant lads to train. The biggest killer is that, like, right, if there's 2 or 3 injuries in you look at your Liam McCarthy teams, if there's 2 or 3 injuries in Limerick or Cork or Kilkenny or Tip, you can replace them. I know they will be massive losses, but you'll be able to replace lads that are just as good. In Down, you're missing 2 or 3 lads of your best players, and it's a big drop. No disrespect on him, but you don't have, like in Tip, you might be picking a panel of 36 players from 100 quality players that are good enough to play intercounty, whereas in Down it's a lot smaller. It's a smaller shop, so you're picking 15 starters from basically your 30, 31 or 2, and then the panel is more or less picked because if you're good enough to hurl, you'll be hurling. Now that the clubs are after starting back in Down, that's throwing a spanner in the works as well, because they're putting pressure on players to play club hurling and football league games. So it's not ideal, but look, we're getting on with it. Look, I've had a great time with Down, and I've learned a lot from the lads. They've probably learned a few things from me, what not to do. So yeah, look, I've experienced it. I've enjoyed it, and I've had a great experience from it.
What sort of commute are you looking at every time you go to training?
It's always a bit longer on the way up, because with traffic on the way up, I fly back on the way down. But the last couple of weeks over Easter there, I've been traveling from Galway because my wife has finally bet me into submission. We're moving to Galway during the summer. Right. Yeah, I know. I'm still trying to get over it. But I was commuting to Belfast for training from Galway, and then for matches I was going to Ballycran. And geez, it's a long, long journey. So look, I suppose 2 hours coming from Dublin, 2 hours I'm up, 2 hours I'm down. But coming from Galway, Jesus, it was over 4 hours, or close to 4 hours anyway.
Each way?
So, yeah, each way.
Christ, and the price of diesel?
I know, yeah. It's
Filling up the car
absolutely,
each way.
it's burning a hole in my pocket.
And like
Um,
you were so close to getting promotion up to Division 1 for next year. You got to
yeah,
that league final
look,
and you beat
at the
Westmead
start of the
along the
year,
way.
I was having conversations with lads at the start of the year, and they were saying, "Oh, look, your main target should be to stay up in Division 2A." And I kind of said, "No, you can't have that." My attitude was, "No, I don't care about staying up. I want to win it." But look, we got to the league final now with a shocker on the league final. We've had a few injuries that are out for the year. But look, that's not the crutch I'm leaning on. That's not the excuse. We were bet by the better team on the day, but we'd bet nearly everyone. Like we had bet Westmead now gone up. They're a Lee McCarthy team and they're gone up to Division 1 next year. We bet Carlow. We bet Kerry. I'm leaving an obvious team out there. We'd bet everyone. The only team that bet us was actually Kildare on in a very blustery day up in Ballycran. So we were in a very good place and got a great reaction from the lads throughout the league. And then just the league final did hit us. They were the better team on the day. Then for the Joe McDonough, we went out first game, absolutely decimated with injuries. We went down to Kerry, and I was actually fearing the worst, but we actually came away with a victory. To say I was shocked is an understatement. Not shocked that we won, but shocked that it was such a good performance from the lads because we were just so crucified with injuries. And then after the bad defeat in the league final, I thought maybe that might have a knock-on effect. But then, unfortunately, we went out the following week against Antrim and got bet. And had a few more injuries. And then last weekend, unfortunately, we got bet by Offaly, which is a real kick in the teeth because I think we were certainly good enough to get to the McDonough final, but there's a cluster of things happening at the moment that just aren't doing us any favours, between injuries and lads sick and there's a few things there. So it's not happening at the right time.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the last couple of fixtures you have. So you've to go to Carlow, and then your last game is at home to Meath, and Meath are currently bottom without a point. So you'd be hoping to win that. If you win your other game away to Carlow, and obviously you'll need a few players back, I suppose, fingers crossed the weekend after next. The table at the moment, Antrim are clear with 6 points. Then after that, Kerry and Offaly have 4 points each. Then yourselves and Carlow have 2. There is a route to being in that top 2 and maybe the back door for the All-Ireland series.
Yeah, certainly. Like if we didn't get bet by Offaly, if we won all those games, we would have been straight through to the final because we would have had a head-to-head against Kerry. The way it's looking now is if we win our last 2 games, and Kerry have to play Offaly as well. So if Kerry beat Offaly, and then Offaly beat Carlow, well then it will all go down to score difference between ourselves, Offaly, and Kerry. So you'd hope that you could possibly get through on that. But look, regardless of what happens in the other games, we need to look after our own house. So our focus is on Carlow next Saturday week down in Carlow.
One final thing I want to ask you about is the Brian Cody handshake with Henry Shefflin the other day. What were your thoughts on that?
I've been asked a lot about that, even at work here. It was cold. Look, I don't know the history. Has something happened recently? But just say no matter who I'm playing against. We played Offaly last week. And the first thing I did when the whistle went, I went up to give Mick Fenley a hand, just to congratulate him. And I've hurled against him loads, but there was no animosity or anything even before that. I was chatting to him. So to go up with someone that you have won so much with, someone you have gone to war with, and Cody has been the general in that war. And then to have a reaction like that, it's just, it's sad. It's very sad. to say that it can be wiped aside like that. Like, I know both of them are very competitive people, but now I don't know, was there something said during the game? Obviously, it's easy to talk about it from the outside. Was there something said? Was there something said leading up to it? I don't know, but when you think about take hurling out of the equation, when you think about what Henry Shefflin has gone through over the last couple of months, from a personal point of view, it's very hard to. And you'd imagine that Brian Cody would have been a mentor, and probably still is a mentor for Henry Shefflin. That it's very sad that he got that reaction after everything that's happened the last while. And especially, like, look, there's so many Ballyhale lads on the team. There was nothing easy about that for Henry Shefflin. To come up against Kilkenny, to come up against it was his nephew playing,
Owen Cody, yeah,
and again against his mentor Brian Cody, and then to get a reaction like that, and for everything that's gone on recently for Henry as well with his family, it's just very sad. But look, both of them are competitive people. It's not going to hold them back. They're not going to be using that as a driving force into the future, or they're not going to hold that against each other in the future. If there's anything I've learned about Kilkenny people, it's that they want to win at all costs. So look, that will be all put underneath the carpet now, and they'll be focusing on their games the next day.
Yeah, like Dublin have won 3 games out of 3 now. A couple of those games were against the sides that you'd be expecting to beat in Laois and Westmeath. Do you see Dublin getting through, and who do you see of the real challengers missing out in Leinster?
Yeah, well, right, I'll just switch to Munster for a second, right? With no disrespect to them, but we nearly know who's going to qualify from Munster. It's just a case of who's going through to the final and who's going third place. But we know those 3 teams.
Yeah, Limerick, Waterford and Clare.
Yeah, with Leinster, it's very exciting, because, right, if Wexford win all the remaining games, they get them. No, I'm not on about first, second, or third here. I'm just on about those 3. But they will qualify if they win their last 2 games, regardless of other results. Dublin, if Wexford win all those remaining games, well, then Dublin have to beat Galway or Kilkenny or both. And in the same, Galway are actually in a good position now. Kilkenny are in a good position. I don't know. It's head wrecking at the moment, looking at it, because depending on what day it is, depending on what the weather is, you want a certain team to get through. I would love Dublin to get through, and it would show Matty's hard work the last couple of years, what he's put in, and how the players have developed. But they will. For them to qualify, they will need to take a scalp from either Galway or Kilkenny. And look, Matty knows a lot, and his backroom team know an awful lot about Galway. The bogey team for Galway the last 4 years has been Dublin. So you would hope that continues for another year at least, anyway.
Okay, great stuff, Ryan. That's the end of the show there. Don't forget to pick up the Nina Guardian. Thanks very much, Ryan. We'll chat again soon.
Thanks, Shane. Chat to you soon.